communication skill does not only contain listening, speaking, understanding. It's not only that. Communication is way higher than that. Communication skill. Let's get started with let's understand each bit of communication skill. First one is called verbal communication. When you speak clearly and effectively in verbal communication, you need to use simple and clear language. You should avoid jargons and overly complicated words in order to specify your details as simple as possible. Instead of saying utilize, say use in order to make your points way clearer. Tone and pace of the speed, the way how you're saying, the speed on which you're saying, it should be accurate, not so fast, not too slow. You need to adjust your tone based on the audience. If your audience is like students, small kids, you need to speak as slow as possible in this low tone. At the time when you're in front of intelligent people, when you feel like the people in front of you are be able to match up with the pace of yours, in that situation, at that circumstance, you can keep your fluency as fast as possible. You can adjust your tone. You have the ability, and you should adjust as per the place where you're speaking. A calm, friendly, and this tone works best in most of the situations. For example, when you're explaining a point, speak slowly and ensure clarity. And when you are talking nearby the point, you can be as quick as possible. Now let's talk about non-verbal communication, where you don't speak, your body language speaks, your hand gesture speaks, your facial expression speaks, your eyes speak, whole body of yours speak. Your energy speaks. The voice level and energy of your voice speaks a lot. Now you need to maintain an open and confident body posture in order to attain the confidence of other people as well. You should avoid crossing arms or looking away at the time of speaking. For example, when stand up right, make eye contact, and use your hand gestures in order to emphasize your point that you're talking about. Now, facial expressions. Now, this is also one of the most important non-verbal communication that you often do at the time of conversating with people. You can smile, use appropriate facial expression in order to incorporate that expression with what you're saying. In order to convey your message, using the appropriate facial expression will make your audience connect to you. They'll feel what you're saying, and they'll match their expectations and their feelings with the same feeling that you're going through. So it's all so exciting at the time when you both have the same energy on that. Your audience connect to you. Like, it's so accelerating. Now, at the time of introduction, make sure that you're smiling and you feel approachable. The smile shouldn't be scary. It's not like that, but it should be a gentle smile, a connective smile, and a gentle smile. Now, third point is active listening. Now, when you're saying, you also need to be listen. Like here on YouTube, I can't do so, but at the time when you're talking to people, you need to give full attention to every detail that is being talked about. You should avoid interrupting when someone is talking about something. You need to nod or respond in order to show that you're listening. You have full concentration upon what's going on. For example, at the time when someone speaks, you need to acknowledge their points by saying, yeah, I see. That's a great point. Awesome. So asking questions for clarification, it also works really well at the time of doing conversation. For example, encourage questions in order to ensure that you have understood what's being talked about. For example, if the topic is going about scientific experiments, you can ask relatable questions in order to make your speaker feel that you're really connected to them and you're paying attention to what is being talked about. You can paraphrase and repeat back what you've just heard. For example, if someone said, this experiment has a key role into this project, you need to say, really? Okay, you mean this experiment has a great connectivity with this project? Is that what you're saying? If you talk like this, if you'll paraphrase what you've just heard, it means that you have full concentration upon what's being talked about. For example, if I don't understand correctly, so you are saying that is that okay? So this way you can incorporate with what is being talked about. So you learned about active listening. You learned about oral communication, non-verbal communication, verbal communication. Now you need to understand written communication. Written communication should be clear and concise as possible. It shouldn't be like big novels and all like that. Okay, keep your message straightforward and to the point. Just like small notification that you get on your phone. You should avoid unnecessary information in order to long widen sentences. Often when we talk to people, we add so many of words in order to make them feel like we are ancestors of Shakespeare or Geoffrey Chaucer. It shouldn't be like that. You should keep your point as simple as possible and as short as possible, so that people won't misinterpret what you have just talked about. For example, in an email, you can start with the main point, like I'm writing to inform you about, and then write what you want to. Okay, now in written communication, you should always use proper grammar and punctuation. For the help of this, you can download applications like Grammarly. Grammarly is an application which can help you in this. You can also use some applications like Google Translate, which can let you know. Nowadays, even Google Translate, Google Keyboard, which is called Google Indic Keyboard, they have their, automatic feature in order to observe whether your writing has any mistake or error, and it corrects by itself just in one click. You need to download Google Indic Keyboard. You can do it from your it might be available in App Store in iPhone, but it's certainly available in Android Play Store. Now, before sending an email, you should double check for typos and ensure that commas are used correctly. Now, it was about written communication. Let's talk about effective feedback. If you've just talked, then really, have you just done blah, 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 just the way how I did? Or did you really make people understand what you talked about? So, in order to confirm whether what you have talked about is understood by everyone, effective feedback works a lot. Now in this, you need to give constructive feedback to the people who are talking to you, or you need to expect the feedback for the topics that you have just talked about. For example, offer feedback in positive and helpful manner. You should not be a critic in order to analyze the whole gesture and appropriate language or grammar like that. It shouldn't be happen. Just you need to observe whether the things that were talked about was right in a right manner, and is there any information that's lacking? If there is, you need to let the conversator know that you just mixed it and you want it not to be missed in next conversations. Focus on how small improvements can made rather than criticizing. For example, instead of saying you did it wrong, rather than you saying this, you can say here's how you can improve this. This works a lot. Now you also need to receive feedbacks cautiously and graciously. If someone gave you feedback that at the time when you talk it's too fluent, or maybe it's too loud, or maybe it's you talk in a very low voice, in that situation you should analyze whether this same feedback was received by multiple people. Is there a good amount of numbers that they have given you this feedback? If no, then you shouldn't accept it, or you should analyze it by yourself. If it has been received by multiple personalities, you need to assess it and rectify this mistake of yours within stipulated time. Now you need to accept feedbacks without becoming defensive. You shouldn't be like, how dare you to say this? I don't talk like in low voice or high voice. I have my own personality. It shouldn't be like that. You need to accept feedbacks. It's another thing that you work upon that feedback or not. That's completely different manner, but you should be open in order to accept feedbacks. So it was about accepting feedbacks. Now in communication, empathy works a lot. You need to understand others' perspectives, their feelings, their emotions. In order to do so, you need to show your consideration of emotions and thoughts of other personality as well. You can use phrases like I understand what you're going through. I understand what you feel. By saying these statements, you can connect to the speaker, and then you can show your empathy to that personality with whom you're having the conversation. If a colleague is upset, say, I can see the situation is frustrating for you. I've gone through the situation as well, and I feel that you'll be all right within 2 or 3 days. Don't worry about it. If you do so, people will connect to you. You need to adapt your message to the audience in the same way how it should be accepted. If you're talking to a child, you shouldn't be using over complex words or emotionless behavior. Small kids won't connect to you. You need extreme amount of emotions upon your face, very connective words, some of the good jokes in your conversation in order to connect to your audience if they're kid. So you need to adapt your message to the audience, tailor your communication to fit to the listener's perspective. Consider their background, their need, their emotional state. You should not be excited at the time when someone has just got punished by a teacher. You cannot be excited, oh, you know what, I was also punished by my teacher when I was a child, but I accepted. It shouldn't be like that. You need to have the same feeling in front of whom you're having your conversation. Now, when you're talking to a manager, you should focus on results rather than and while talking about feedback. I mean, teammates, you can emphasize collaboration. When you're talking about a project, you can focus on results. So it's like tailor your message as per the person in front of whom you're having that talk. I think that's sufficient for today. We'll meet tomorrow with the next one. I think these all accumulated points will enhance your communication skill and make you the best communicator ever, after me, of course. Okay, I'll summarize what you have just understood. Lastly, we have studied empathy in communication. Before that, we studied effective feedbacks in communication. Then written communication was studied by us. Then we got to know about active listening. Listening anything very with whole and soul, with full concentration. Then we got to know about non-verbal communication. And before that, we got to know about verbal communication. I think that's sufficient for today. We'll meet tomorrow with the next one. Wish you a good day.